Okay, hello. Today we're working on question 6.4. This question asks us to round the number 0.625 to the nearest hundredth, And I will take note especially of that TH, not the nearest hundred, to the nearest hundredth. So, we will have to know the difference between that. We'll have to know our place values, the name of each place value, and we'll have to know how to round, two important skills that we're going to go over in this video today. So, the first thing I want to point out, let me change my color to black. Let's look at the place values present in this number that we're working with. We have everything based around that decimal. Everything is going around this decimal, and that's going to tell us what place values are here. So, one to the left of the decimal, one place value to the left of the decimal, we have what's called our ones. To the right of the decimal, we have our, not our tens, but our tenths with a THS, tenth. To the right of the tenth, right here, this two right here, we have our hundredth, hundredth with a TH, hundredths. And last but not least, in this number, they go on forever, but in this number, the last place value we have is our thousandths. Thousandths. Now these might sound familiar because we know after our ones, if this number continued to the left, we would have our ones, then our tens, then our hundreds, then our thousands, then our 10,000s, and so on and so forth. But to the right of the decimal, we know that it begins with tenths, and then hundredths, and then thousandths, all with this neat little TH. Everything is being mirrored around the ones and the decimal. So we've got our tens on the left and our tenths on the right, our hundreds on the left and our hundredths on the right, and so on and so forth. But that's not so important for this question. This question asks us to round to the nearest hundredth. So as long as we know where our hundredth is, we can do this question. So let's just get rid of all the stuff I've written so far, and let's underline our hundredth. Because if we're rounding to the nearest hundredth, then we want to be left with a number where the last place value is the hundredth. So just like we went over before, I'm going to underline this 2 because we can see here's the decimal. 1 to the right of the decimal is our tenths, and then 1 to the right of that is our hundredths. So this is the number in question. Now when we are rounding, we've underlined the number we want to round to, the place value we want to round to, and we look to the right of that place value. This number here is going to determine what happens to the number in question. And here is the rule. This is what I want us to remember. Everything is going to happen to the number in question, the underlined number, the hundredths, because that's what this question's asking for, but to the right of that underlined number, this number is going to tell us what to do with the underlined number. We always look to the right, only one to the right, only one. So here's the rule. If the number to the right is 5 or more, then the underlined number is going to go up. 5 or more, the underlined number rounds up. That means it goes up 1. If the number to the right is 4 or fewer, then nothing happens to this. It stays the same. It doesn't go down, which is a common mistake. It just stays exactly the same. So, if we wanted to round the number 0.625 to the nearest hundredth, we would underline the hundredth place value. We would look to the right of it, and we would see, look at that. We have a 5. Now, according to my rule, if it's 5 or more, then this number should go up. So, our rounded number will be 0 because that hasn't changed, 0.6 because that hasn't changed, and now here's my underlined number. It's going to go up because that's a 5. So that 2 becomes a 3. Now people often wonder, well, what happens to the 5? Or if there's more numbers after this, what happens to them? Well, we rounded to the nearest hundredth, so they are disappeared. They're gone. They don't exist anymore. We rounded to the nearest hundredth. The hundredth place value is now the last digit in the number. So that is how you answer this question. Let's do another example. Let's say I gave you 0.123, and I asked you, just like this question, to round to the nearest hundredth. Now to do so, I would underline the digit in the hundredth place value, which is here a 2, and I would look to the right of it. Now here, to the right of my desired place value, the hundredth, it's a 3. I look back to my rule and I see if it's a 5 or more, then my underlined number is going to go up by 1. If it's a 4 or fewer, then nothing's going to happen to my underlined number. So let's go back to my new question. 0.123 rounded to the nearest hundredth. I look at my underlined number. I look to the right of it. Is it a 5 or more? No. It's a 3. It's less than 5. Falls into this 4 or fewer category. So what happens to it? Well, I'm rounding to the nearest hundredth. It doesn't go down. My rule doesn't say it goes down, and it certainly doesn't go up because that's not a 5 or more. So it becomes, if I wanted to round to the nearest hundredth, 0.12. I rounded to the nearest hundredth. So that is how you round to the nearest hundredth. And this is an important skill, especially when you're working with money, because money is always, 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 especially in American and Canadian currencies, rounded to the nearest hundredth. So this is a very useful skill to be able to round to the nearest hundredth, because here you can see this looks just like our usual format of money. We've got our ones for dollars, point, and then here's our cents. These are our tens, and these are our 1 cents, our hundredths. So we've got $0.12 or 12 cents. We're used to seeing this as cents. That is how you round to the nearest hundredth.